We actually have Gravekeepers for you guys today. Didn't expect that. We have Fabled Runick. Didn't expect that either. And some other pretty interesting decks. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. The first deck we're going to be looking at here is a Gravekeeper deck that ended up getting 3rd place. Now, I'm actually very happy to see that Gravekeepers could actually kind of step up to the bat here and do something. There were 2 backwards cards that I guess I didn't want to show. I'm assuming that these are probably like Garuda or, you know, other super poly targets. Kind of wild that within the current scape that those are maybe local tech choices. Who knows? So we have triple copies of EO Gravekeepers Commandant, 2 copies of good old Headman, 1 copies of Heretic. Still, it amazes me that like this card is as poorly worded as it is. We have triple copies of Spiritualist, 1 card Demise, 2 copies of Hidden Temples of the Necro Valley, triple copies of Necro Valley, triple copies of Necro Valley Throne, 2 copies of Pod Desires for Draw Power, then you have 2 Duality for Sifting, and of course, triple Royal Tribute, the reason why this deck will get the chance to bully your opponent out. Triple copies of Super Poly, 1 Terraforming, triple copies of Crackdown, 1 Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley, 2 copies of Imperm, the 1 Necro Valley Temple, and you got 2 Solemn Judgments, and triple copies of Solemn Strike here. You almost would think that you would want to bulk down on some additional copies of Solemn Judgment here, but I guess for the most part this works out here. We have the 2 missing extra deck cards. You have 1 Baguski, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Starving Venom, 2 copies of Dracostopelia, 1 Mud, and then triple copies of the Supernaturalist. Our side deck here, we got triple copies of Space Rock, triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 copies of Twin Twisters, triple Evenly Matched, and triple copies of Dimensional Barrier here, wrapping up our Gravekeeper experience. Don't underestimate like how good Necro Valley is in a format like this, because this card will just steal games from your opponent, and your opponent will be like, I can't do anything about that. Sad part is they really can't, alright? Next up here was a Drytron list. This actually ended up getting 1st place out of its locals here. Now, Drytron for the most part, yeah, we got some Mystic Mind shenanigans in the deck. I perfectly understand that, but the way that the rest of the missing or moving pieces move around in this deck, it's actually pretty cool. You know, still shout out to Vanity's Ruler here. Even though we're like in a decently sized board breaker format, you still get the chance to see like really cool potential for this deck. Also, Yield Herald of Mirage Lights. Don't see that all that often. So we have 1 copy of Lancia. Yeah, Lancia is still seeing play. We have 1 Diviner of the Heralds, triple copies of Alpha Thuban, triple copies of Delta Alteus, triple copies of Eltanin, triple copies of Albaya, 1 copy of Herald of Orange Light, 1 Vanity's Ruler, 2 copies of Ben 10, 1 Natasha, 1 copy of Metanius Draconius, 1 Called by the Grave, triple copies of Cyber Emergency, triple copies of Yield Hadoken, 2 Fafnir, triple copies of Yield Drytron Nova, 1 Arby's Feather Duster, 1 Drytron Metanus, 2 copies of Yield Mystic Mind, triple Super Poly, and 1 good old Terraforming to get to you're the Mind of the Mystic. Down in the extra deck, we have 1 Underworld Goddess, 1 Sprite Elf, 1 Relinquished Anima, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 IP, 1 Herald of Mirage Lights, 1 Boral Sword, 2 copies of good old Mubeta Fafnir, 1 Downward, 1 Zeus, 1 Beatrice, 1 Herald of the Arclight, 1 Garuda, and 1 Initus. And then you got triple copies of Lava Friend, 1 copy of Necro Banshee, triple copies of Twin Twisters, 1 good old Zombie World, triple copies of a Pointer of the Red Lotus, triple copies of Goes and Match, and then actually 1 Mischief of the Gnomes here, wrapping up the No Fun Allowed zone for Drytron. This card is actually pretty busted, alright? Next up is a Runick deck. Yes, this is Runick playing Condemned Witch. On normal summon, you add a forbidden quick play spell card from your deck to your hand. In your opponent's main phase, quick effect, and contribute this card to summon a level 4 light fairy monster from your deck. So this actually gets you a Forbidden Chalice or a Forbidden Lance. Alright, so 3 acceptable targets for this. And then it can toggle into a Bury Statue of the Heavens. Now, light right now is a pretty interesting element because you can actually navigate relatively well underneath this while, you know, the rest of the deck does its thing. And then, of course, you know, being able to Cerberus set up on your opponent and then make actually Fabled Unicorn, Halky Fibrex. This whole little package actually just puts you in tune with your extra deck and allows you to make some relatively interesting plays overall. So I do like what we're going here for this. So we have 2 copies of Barrier Statue of the Heavens, triple copies of Yield Condemned Witch, and then we have triple copies of Fabled Cerberil. Then you have 2 Demise of the Lands, 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice with 1 Forbidden Lance, 1 Monster Gate. I mean, technically one of those just kind of sifts through, because all of your spells will be able to just turn on milling. You have triple copies of Mystic Mine, 1 Runick Allure, 2 copies of Runick Destruction with 1 Runick Dispelling, triple copies of Flashing Fire, only 2 Field Spell, by the way, triple Freezing Curses, 2 Golden Droplets, triple copies of Slumber, 2 Smiting Storm, triple Runick Tip, and 1 copy of Metaverse. And then we have 1 copy of Lina, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Halky Fibrex with 1 Axis Code Talker, 1 Fable Unicorn, yes, yields Spell Speed 4 continuous, 1 Stardust Spark, 1 Herald, 1 Formula, and then you got 2 Moonin, triple Hugin, and 2 copies of good old Gary here, wrapping up your Runick interesting deck. This is a Speedroid list that was top 4 out of Dragon Duel at Niagara. Now, I'm actually kind of intrigued with this because you don't see a lot of Speedroids anymore. There was a time where Speedroids could top 16 an event. It was about 3 sets ago, which was actually kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. But once again, my downside with this deck right now is it does involve a decent amount of comboing right now. It does kind of involve, you know, generic setup and a decent understanding of where this deck wants to go in terms of its combo lines. Honestly, if you can figure out which plays are the best with this, that's fine. I almost want to say that the deck requires a decent amount of setup, and you got to hope that your opponent doesn't have a board breaker. So yeah, this was the Dragon Duel top 4 list. So we have triple copies of Yield Car Turbo. Alright, that's pretty normal. 2 copies of the Den Den Daiko Duke. Triple copies of Double Yo-Yo. We have 1 of the Mudoshi Piper, 2 copies of the Horse Stilts, 1 copy of the Marble Machine, triple copies of Red-Eyed Dice, triple copies of the Takum Tumborg, 1 Terror Top, triple copies of Ultra Hound. Yeah, that's a pretty standard monster lineup. You have 1 Pot of Desires, your triple copies of Speed Recovery, triple copies of Speed Lift. If you control exactly 1 tune or no other monster, special summon a level 4 lower Speedroid monster from your deck. Neither player can activate cards or effects when that monster is special summoned. That's pretty good. We have triple copies of Speedroid Scratch, the triple Speedroid Wheel, triple Goes in Match, which is probably the reason why this deck did good, and 2 copies of the Duplicate. Then we have 1 Rubber Band Shooter, 1 Stardust with 1 Stardust Assault Warrior, triple copies of the Kite Drake, 1 Cork Shooter, 1 Clearwing Fast, 2 Chambara, 1 Crystal Wing, 1 Clear Wing, 1 Clear Wing Synchro, times 2, and then 1 Clear Wing Fast Dragon, wrapping up your Speedroid list. And last we have here is a Sprite deck that's been tearing up my locals the last couple of weeks, actually. It's won first place 2 weeks in a row, so I figure we cover this because it's Melfi. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring, 1 copy of the Calinisto, 1 copy of Melfi Caddy, 1 Fenny, 1 Penny, 1 Pawnee, 1 Puppy, and 1 Wowie. And then we have triple copies of Beaver, 1 Plague Spitter Zombie, 1 Ronin Totem, triple copies of Sprite Blue, 1 Carrot, triple copies of Sprite Jet, 1 copy of Pixies, 2 copies of Sprite Red, triple copies of Swappy Froggy, 1 copy of Griffin Rider, triple copies of Water Enchantress, 1 copy Called by the Grave, 1 Draco Back, 1 Faithful Adventure, triple copies of Rite of Armesier, 1 copy of Smashers, triple starters, and triple copies of Infinite Permanence. All the good basic stuff that you know for Sprite. Then we have 2 copies of Sprite Elf, 1 Almirage, 1 Unicorn, 1 IP, 1 Hawk, 1 Borrelsword with 1 Access Code, 1 Totally Awesome, 1 Centuria, 1 Melfies of the Forest, 2 Gigantic Sprite, 1 Murray Melfies, and 1 Herald of the Arclight. And then we got triple copies of DD Crow, triple copies of Droll and Lockbird, triple Ghost Reaper, 2 Dark Roller No More, 2 Droplets, 1 Feather Duster, and 1 copy of Red Reboot, wrapping up your chunk of, well, interesting deck profiles out of the block. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day with some more cool ass content. Peace out, guys. Patrons. Ugh.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.